Yo, what's happening guys, King GBL here, and welcome back to some Spring Cup action. For the next 2 weeks guys, we have Spring Cup, and today I wanted to showcase a really fun Pokemon, and a very underrated and slept on Pokemon in this cup, which is Roserade. Now this cup is basically dominated by things like Abomasnow, Barrathorn. As you can see, we have a Razor Leaf on screen right now. Roserade has got access to Weather Ball Fire, which can basically one-shot all of these grass types in this league. This Pokemon and this team is insanely fun to play. I went on a 10-game winning streak, and I was able to get my ELO today. So stay tuned, check out the ELO reveal, and also check out the team. I highly recommend trying out Roserade. Now you can make an argument that you should probably use Roserade in the back, because it is kind of glassy. You try to get shields with a Pokemon in the front, and then look to sweep with Roserade. I do think that's quite a good idea. And speaking a little bit on the team, we are quite soft to Lantern, and Whiscash is a little bit awkward. Because we're using Poison Jab on Roserade, it's not a very effective Mud Boy or Lantern counter. I also think there's an argument to be made to use Bullet Seed. I do quite like the Poison Jab, because of course you're hitting a lot of Pokemon for super effective, and it is just super oppressive. But I do think in a team like the team I've got right here, you need Roserade to be more efficient in countering Water-type Pokemon, which at this current moment, with this setup, it's not really. I think a lot of the matches that I found most tricky were like Lantern leads, Whiscashes, against my Roserade. It's actually not that easy to take those out. Anyway guys, we're going to hop into the battles. If you do enjoy today's video, please go ahead and drop a like. Subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so. We're making a very big push towards 4K, and a lot of the people who watch these videos are not yet subscribed. So if that is you, if you enjoy the videos, and you want to stick around and see some more, go ahead, drop a sub in the channel. And a big thank you to everybody for the support in the videos. I stream here on YouTube as well, so feel free to turn on notifications if you want to be notified whenever I go live. Anyway guys, picking up this battle here, we're just trying our absolute best to get to this move. Unfortunately, not able to make it to the Leaf Storm, which would look to do a lot of damage to the Tenta. I'm fairly satisfied though, one Drill Run does not KO Tenta, so even a little bit of a chip with Poison Jabs and Weather Ball will basically put this Pokemon in a range where Dugong can deal with it. We're down to the very last Pokemon here. What I realized in this matchup is you probably want to go for Icy Wind and then go for Drill Run, because as you can see here, we're going to get this Drill Run off. Unless it's a Shadow, of course, just go for Drill Run, but if the Tentacruel is at full health, they can make this match super close with Poison Jab, Acid Spray, and Scald. So if you're ever in that situation where it's full health, I do recommend going for an Icy Wind first. Now in comes Trevenant. I do play it to a CMP tie, the opponent goes for the extra here, and as you're seeing here, we're just spamming out these Weather Balls. I don't want to stay in this matchup for too long, and the opponent plays to a CMP tie that they don't win against this Roserade. Roserade insanely attack weighted, and already we've got 2 shields off the opponent. I'm happy enough to let this go, thinking the opponent's going to go for a bait. They do go for the bait, and we come into Dugong. Now I'm assuming the opponent only gets off one more move. They should go for Shadow Ball, which will do the most amount of damage. They do go for it. Very good play by the opponent, and they come into a Pelipper. The opponent does not have a defined answer to Dugong. Now this is quite risky for the opponent, because going for a Weather Ball bait is so risky in this matchup, and if I shield the Hurricane, I can basically overfarm and take them out. I decide it's such a risky bait, I'm just going to shield up the move, and I'm going to go for an overfarm in this situation. Get an extra free Ice Shards in, and look to take out the Pelipper. We'll see what the opponent wants to come into. They still have a catch available, so that's the only thing that I need to watch out for in this match. In comes Weezing. I pause the turn instead of throwing in good timing, because I want to make sure the opponent cannot catch on the Trevenant. Now, I am anticipating the catch. I decide to come into the Roserade here, and the opponent does go for the catch on Trevenant. We farm it the whole way down, get off the Weather Ball, and that's good games well played. As you guys seen in the first match, the opponent just didn't have an answer to it. In the second match, Roserade just absolutely popped off, and in the third match, we're just spamming Weather Ball Fires on the Trevenant. The opponent swaps out and comes into a Charmer. Sorry, every fairy type I see is just a Charmer in my eyes. It is on Powder Snow. We come into the Empoleon. This will just absolutely rip this thing a new ass. We're going to farm it the whole way down, and we're going to look to launch Hydro Cannons or Drill Pecks at whatever comes in. The opponent gets off 2 moves. They should go for 1 Dazzling Gleam here in this situation, instead of 2 Weather Balls. Those are double resisted moves, and we're going to look to fire off Hydro Cannons here. In neutral situations or resisted situations, you do want to go for the Hydro Cannons. Unfortunately, the Lantern will get a bunch of farm, and as I mentioned earlier, this Pokemon is a little bit tricky. Now, the good thing is, I'm actually up shields here, so I can look to do something. I assume the opponent will go straight for a Thunderbolt. The opponent's actually baiting here and goes for a Surf. Not quite expecting that. I'm kind of forced to let it go at this point, and they do go for the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, even though it is a resisted move. Roserade, it's insanely fun to use. Does a lot of damage, but it does not know the meaning of resisted, but the opponent has a Tropius in the back, and this is basically good games well played. The opponent will outpace to the moves, but we can super comfortably live a Leaf Blade, and this is Curtains for the opponent. Good games well played here. I do like Dugong in this team as well. I think Dugong has a lot of utility. Generally speaking, I safe swap the Dugong to draw out a potential Lantern in the back. I do safe swap different Pokemon depending on the lead, but Dugong up a shield against Lantern can look to take that matchup, so it is very good. I see this matchup right here. I decide I'm going to go straight into the Empoleon, and in comes a Poliwrath. Again, buffed Empoleon with these Steel Wings, getting to the moves much quicker. We're able to get an early shield off the Poliwrath. Now, I decide to put up a cautionary shield just in case the opponent is on Dynamic Punch. The opponent goes for Icy Wind, so at this point, I'm fairly satisfied that the opponent's just going to be running the normal moveset. I should be able to take this matchup no problem, and we're going to let this move go. Now, to my surprise, the opponent was baiting. Okay, buddy. The opponent was baiting a Dynamic Punch, apparently. Not too sure about that one. We're going to come into the Roserade. We resist the counters, but of course Icy Wind will do a lot of damage to us here. We shield up the Icy Wind, go for a nasty overfarm, and I'm going to look to throw this move off on CMP. Now this is an Overheat clone, Leaf Storm's an Overheat clone, so we do have to get out of here, clear our debuffs. In comes a Ninetales in the back. The opponent coming into that, very, very interesting. Now a Shadow Ninetales, roughly 2 of these drill runs will KO it. If it's non-Shadow, you'll definitely need like 3. The opponent's actually, interestingly enough, throwing a move, and we're basically just going to take it out. I think the opponent did not want me to farm it down with the Roserade, because that could be curtains for them. They're going to commit to the farm down, but we do get a last second move off for the Dugong. Gong, too thick. We get off this huge damage here, and at this point, this is good games well played to the opponent. We have no shields left, unless the opponent's on Sludge Bomb or Blizzard, which they're not here in this case. We should take this very comfortably. Roserade taking neutral from these poison jabs. They definitely chunk quite a lot. It takes you 8 poison jabs to get to the Leaf Storm, so you do pace roughly equally with the Tentacruel. And here goes the first 5-1, guys. We get a Volibee, and we don't quite have our Elo reveal yet. Now, my Elo reveal today was a lot higher than I expected. I have been kind of messing around using a lot of different sort of funny Pokemon this season, and this lead here, this is a lead that you want to swap out of. We do win CMP, however, Abomasnow gets to these moves in 5 and then 4. As you can see, in a straight farm down, Abomasnow actually wins this matchup if I do remember correctly. We're going to come into Dugong, and the opponent brings in a Whiscash. This is absolutely amazing for us. One of the amazing things about Dugong this season is that it is one of the unique Pokemon that can beat Skarmory and Whiscash. I'm definitely super happy the opponent's bringing in a Whiscash to my Dugong, because I can get this out of the way, right? I'm using Poison Jab. I cannot jab this down easily, so I'm happy enough just to get damage free on this. We're going to go for this Icy Wind immediately. Just try to maintain some health on the Dugong, and look to Icy Wind the Abomasnow if it comes back. The opponent will basically be forced to throw when they come into an Electro. They're going to commit to the farm down, but Thundershock is a very, very good energy generation move, but very low damage. So we're able to get this off, forcing the final shield from the opponent. And guys, as I like to say around here, this should be curtains. We have a full health Empoleon in the back that can more than easily deal with Abomasnow. We still wing it the whole way down. Even if this is Energy Ball, we just let it go. Doesn't KO us here, and we can look to get off. I think I end up going for a Hydro Cannon on this here. I'm not sure why I went for this. I should have went for Drill Peck. Of course, Electric resists flying, but they are joint grass type, so I should have just went for Drill Peck, but nonetheless, that KOs, and that's good games. Now, once again, we're seeing that water leads are not even that easy for Roserade. I go for 7 and throw, thinking that the opponent might think I'm on Grass Knot. The opponent doesn't fall for it. And guys, in my absolute stupidity here, I thought Grass Knot was 7. It's actually 8-7. So the opponent was never going to shield that. If they know Roserade counts, they're never shielding that. So definitely a bit of a misplay by me there. We come into the Dugong. The opponent actually stays in against the Dugong. So despite my misplay, this is kind of working out okay. The opponent's not swapping out. They must have some sort of grass Pokemon in the back. They've got a water in the front, which of course is weak to things like electric, weak to grass types and so on. So what I'm thinking is it might be something like an Abomasnow back there. Of course, Abomasnow is weak to counter. Jellicent is good against that. So we're going to see what the opponent has here. We're going to farm it the whole way down with Empoleon. The Penguin's going to farm it the whole way down, and they come into a Trevenant. So we've got Ebby Ghost so far, which is quite interesting. That Drill Peck rips it to shreds. The opponent comes into their own Roserade. However, they are behind on energy. And as I like to say around here, this is absolute curtains for them. We're going to outpace the 2 moves. The opponent gets us off. And actually, what I decide to do is just let this move go. Basically, the Trevenant farmed up a couple. I can basically shield once, and I actually don't even have to shield this move. But I shield once, I commit to the farm down, and that's going to be all she wrote. The Trevenant won't get to a move. 1 Drill Peck from that range will take it out, and that's good games. Do let me know in the comment section down below. How are you enjoying Spring Cup? Are you playing Ultra League this week? I honestly do quite like this meta. It's quite a fun meta, and we do have some newly buffed Pokemon in it. Now, in the next match, we have a Lantern. You guys are going to see how this is a little bit tricky. I decided to go straight for the Leaf Storm, and I'm actually lagging here, guys. I should have got to that on CMP time. The opponent goes for a swap into, I believe, was that a Ferrothorn or their own Roserade? Their own Roserade. We go for a 1 and throw. We go for another 1 and throw. And I think what I'm going to look to do here is go for 1 and potentially catch it on the Dugong. Very nicely done here. This is just a Fireweller Ball. Not going to do the most damage to bulky Dugong. And the opponent's going to stay in, of course, and look to go for moves. Now, the opponent, I believe, done another 3 or 4 there. And they go for a Sludge Bomb. Definitely not expecting to see that. I knew it wasn't enough for a Leaf Storm. And we're going to look to basically get off a move on whatever comes in. The opponent comes into Ferrothorn. And guys, Roserade's just about to go to town. We're going to get off Icy Winds here. I decided to go for Drill Run on this occasion, just to get off the most raw damage. I should have potentially just went for Icy Wind again. In neutral situations, Icy Wind barely does more. and we're going to come in with Roserade. The opponent, I believe, are getting quite close to the move here. We're going to look to get to the Leaf Storm. The opponent goes for a huge swap. That's absolutely vital for me here. I actually remember now what I was planning to do there was, of course, get the energy with Roserade. I basically needed to get a huge farm, get the Leaf Storm off on the Lantern, and of course the Fireball here. Or, of course, we can just deal with it with the Penguin. These drill pecks are neutral. That's good games well played. I do think the combination of these Pokemon are quite decent. Again, we have a little bit of a weakness to Mid-Boys, a little bit of a weakness to things like Lantern. So if you do have the Legacy moveset of Bullet Seed, I think that might work out quite well. Now in this next match, this is where Poison Jab is really nice. We're going to go straight for Weather Ball. The opponent goes for a CMP tie here, which of course they do not win. Roserade, extremely attack weighted. That Weather Ball does not KO. And I'm thinking like, bro, this is a brutal swinger sludge. Like, I'm not shielding this, bro. I'm going to look to go for 4 and go for the catch on Dugong. This will just be another sludge. Definitely not worth shielding. And we'll look to see what the opponent's got in the back. The opponent comes into a Feraligatr here. And at this point, a lot of people normally go Icy Wind in this matchup. I decided to shield up the first potential crunch. I'm going to look to 1 and fro and go for Icy Wind. A little bit of a risky bait. I do like either of these plays. I guess, you know, it allows us to live a crunch quite easily. We're going to go for a Drill Run this time. Sometimes it is counterintuitive, but throwing a resisted Icy Wind sometimes can help you in your matchup a little bit. It makes it a little bit more difficult for them to farm us down. And yeah, of course, it still chips them. We go for an aggro swap, not allowing the opponent to get an energy lead. This will only be a crunch at the worst, right? So we can definitely tank that. No defense drop, which is huge. And the opponent comes into a Firefang Mawile. We need to try and get rid of this thing. This thing is definitely a huge problem for my team here at this point in the match. We're going to look to get to the next move. The opponent farms me down the whole way. Now the good thing is, guys, we banked some energy in Roserade. Can we get to it? We do. Those Firefangs are ripping me to shreds here. And thankfully, the opponent does not catch the move or anything. Back in comes the Weezing. We're going to jab it the whole way down. And that's curtains. Good games well played. So we are starting to see some Firefang Mawile, some toxic teams. We're seeing Kartana here. And the opponent comes into Metal Claw. Metal Claw Empoleon. Not too sure what that's all about. We decide to stay in and chip it and come into our own here. And we'll look to see what the opponent wants to do. We're staying in at least to throw a Hydro Cannon off. These Metal Claws are just doing absolutely nothing. Double resisted Metal Claws. I'm over farming like crazy. I basically want to get off a move and come out with a move for something else. If I get a little bit lower, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. Give the opponent less farm. Give my Roserade a chance to get some energy on the other side, and we'll see what they want to come into. They come into a Kartana, of course, again. This one Drill Peck would absolutely rip them to shreds. Kartana made of absolute glass. And they come into the Firefang Mawile again. We do get off the Fireball, and at this point we can come into Dugong. One Drill Run, of course, will easily take this out. Now, I make a bit of a bad shield here. The opponent farmed up to 7. This can only be a Power Punch. I am a little bit unfamiliar with Mawile counts. I wasn't sure if that was quite enough for the Iron Head, and at the time while streaming, I even mentioned, this is probably not enough for it. The opponent calls the bait as their win condition, but yes, of course, not the greatest shield in the world. But I just knew I would IPS either way, so I was fairly comfortable in shielding anything. And guys, there you have it. That's the 10-game winning streak right there. Now, towards the end of the video, I'm going to be showing you some losses and some other matchups that you may not have seen in the video yet. Again, here's this Lantern lead. Very tricky. The opponent comes into a Abomasnow, and we look to go for a catch on the Empoleon. The opponent doesn't quite fully move instantly, but they still end up throwing an Icy Wind. That's absolutely perfect for me. I can basically no shield and farm this the whole way down. Now, the problem is, unfortunately, the Lantern in the lead is going to get energy. So if the opponent does swap out of the Roserade matchup, get extra energy on Lantern, that makes it even more tricky. Because, again, you know, you have to self-debuff yourself, and Surfs and Thunderbolts do a lot of damage to Roserade. The opponent is getting an extra farm, so this is definitely not the greatest thing in the world. We're going to go for the Hydro Cannon, and of course look to chip it, but they're still at a lot of health. They come into the Tentacruel. I'm going to go for the big Leaf Storm. I just know that if I can get Drill Runs off with the Dugong on the Lantern, or if I can get shields off the opponent, I can look to do something. The opponent goes for what's most likely going to be an Acid Spray. I do think Sludge Bomb or Blizzard would be quite a good moveset on Tenta. A lot of people won't shield up like Acid Sprays or, you know, of course, the resisted moves. Now, because they've double debuffed my defense, I decide I want to overfarm in this matchup, basically look to try and get 2 moves off on Lantern. Now, what I actually needed to do here was just overfarm a little bit more, because I'm double debuffed, and the opponent's using super effective Sparks. We die with the move, unfortunately, and that's going to seal our fate in this match, unfortunately, as well. I decided to call the bait, because, I mean, they can go straight surf anyway, it doesn't really make a difference. What I needed to do was farm up a little bit more against the Tentacruel, maybe 1 more Ice Shard. I would have done it, allowing me to get to the move, and that would have been good games. Now, hopping into the next one, we have a Roserade Mirror. We both try to catch the Weather Ball Fire, and we both come into a Water Ice type. So it looks like we're running very similar teams here so far. We will see what the opponent does have in the back, though. We're going to go for this move immediately, of course, looking to get off some damage. And I mean, bro, I just don't think in a million years they're going to go for a bait here. I know that I can definitely live an Earthquake very comfortably here, but what I'm thinking is, if I can force the Roserade to throw in my Dugong, that'll put my Roserade up energy, and also my Empoleon can deal with Roserade. Roserade, it's not the greatest into Empoleon. Of course, you resist the poison jabs. The opponent finally just go for the Earthquake here. We're going to go for a little bit extra and go for the throw. And that means we can basically free and throw the move against the Roserade if it comes back in. Of course, these Ice Shards are going to rip it to shreds. The opponent cannot afford to overfarm here. And because we're still relatively healthy, they have to go for Grass Knot. I think at this point, guys, I decide to come into the Empoleon. I don't necessarily want to have to be forced to shield right. And these Steel Wings are absolutely ripping this to shreds. The opponent will get off one last move. It's not going to be Leaf Storm, so I don't have to worry about it. And in comes Trevenant. Now, the opponent still has 2 shields. The name of the game here is to get shields off the opponent. If I can get both shields off the opponent, this is basically game over. The opponent goes for CMP tie here. I just realized here at this point, if I get the shield, I'm basically winning, right? The opponent can let this go, but I should be able to basically poison jab everything down. The opponent's dry here. I can look to build up to 2 Weller Balls. The opponent's quite dry on the Roserade as well. This is absolutely unnecessary. We just build up to 2, absolutely make sure of it. 1 for this and 1 for Roserade, and that's good games. It's a very cool team by the opponent, very similar to mine. I do quite like the idea of running Trevenant Walrein Core. I do think it probably covers Roserade's weaknesses a little bit better. However, things like Pelipper would be very, very tricky. ABA Grass is always going to be quite risky, especially against the Pokemon you just seen, Pelipper. Hydro Cannon coming in. Pretty much we just need to chip this as much as possible. I do live a Mud Bomb, and the opponent will be forced to throw the next move immediately if they don't want to take any more damage. I think I'm fairly satisfied with this at this point. We can look to maybe come in with Dugong, get an energy lead, but we actually come in with the Roserade here, which is quite interesting. So I think what I'm going to look to do is shield once, and look to go for CMP tie on the next move. I guess I decide that like an energy advantage would really help Roserade against the Pelipper, or like if I just swap back out again, come into the Dugong, yeah, I'm swapping straight out, and maybe like farm something down in the back. The opponent comes into a Trevenant, so maybe I do have a chance here. The opponent goes for CMP tie here. I know this is just a Seed Bomb, I can easily live this move, and I think what I'm trying to do here is just basically get in a position where I can farm this down, or, you know, take this out and look to like Icy Wind the other thing. The opponent of course goes for another CMP tie. That's perfectly fine, we're going to let this through. And I'm going to try my best to jab this the whole way down. We've got a ton of energy. The opponent does get to a move here. I think I should just, like, farm it down. I think they only got to a Seed Bomb there. Now that I'm watching this back, I do live a Seed Bomb, but the Pelipper's got to move. Had I just committed to the farm down, and maybe, like, either just YOLO the move and hope the opponent tries to call the bait, or vice versa, go for the bait, go for the move. That was definitely my win con there. I just YOLO this. I thought I would have enough energy to do everything there. I needed to make a choice to do one or the other, so good games. Now, this is quite an interesting lead here. I do 2 and swap out. The reason I do 2 is because we'll take 1 Air Slash of damage, but we will get a little bit of extra energy on the Roserade. We come into the Empoleon, the opponent goes for Leaf Blade, and they do try to go for a catch on their own Empoleon. Now at this point, guys, we can build up to 2 moves. I can look to get the Empoleon very, very low with these Hydro Cannons. If the opponent does not throw immediately, we're going to get this off, and this second Hydro Cannon will actually put them lower health than me, so the opponent can't necessarily commit to the farm down. They can look to build up to 2 moves, so no matter what, something will have to tank a move here. I think Dugong in this team is just the greatest damage sponge of all time. We throw it in here. Drill Peck is not a very good move. We can eat this no problem, and we can look to get this energy lead. Hopefully with this energy lead on Dugong, we get a resisted farm down. We're only 1 off the Icy Wind. Hopefully we can look to do something. Now the opponent comes into a Sea King. Double Legacy Sea King, I'm assuming. This Pokemon is very difficult to deal with. It's got great coverage with Icy Wind. Of course, it's got Drill Run. This Pokemon is a problem for my team. We're going to shield up the potential Drill Run. I don't want to necessarily get jabbed down, and I decide I'm going to go for an Icy Wind here. The opponent makes a very, very good call here and goes for the no shield. And that could be very costly for me. I'm pretty much forced to let this go at this point, and I'm going to look to try my best to sweep this game with the Roserade. Now, what you guys are about to see here is that in the farm down race, Roserade absolutely hammers Tropius. We're farming this down at an alarming rate. These poison jabs are ripping it to shreds. Now it's poison jab versus poison jab, and we do take the win. That's absolutely huge. The opponent did make a very nice call. I should have went for Drill Run, and I probably could have just Icy Winded the Tropius, and that would have been game over. The opponent played that match very well, but Roserade's damage just really came clutch. Now guys, we go 2-3 in that set, but we're going to get our ELO reveal, and because we've done so well today, 2237. Definitely not expecting to get that ELO. I thought my ELO would definitely be around 2100, and in the next match here, we do have a match with Lantern. I'm going to respect this. I think the opponent does just go straight for Thunderbolt. They are going for Surfs. It's crazy, like people know how glassy this Pokemon is, and they're just basically baiting with resisted moves, which is kind of insane. The opponent respects that move, and at this point, this is another Surf. I definitely can tank this, and if the opponent stays in, I'm going to get off another move. They catch too early, and I make a Boomer swap, but I do get out in time. We come into the Dugong here, very dominant matchup against Tropius. We're basically going to look to get rid of this thing as soon as possible here. They do offer super effective damage with the Leaf Blades. I can't really take those too well, so we're going to get rid of this thing, maintain some health on the Dugong, and that's going to basically force the opponent to throw energy with the Lantern. Now, I think what I end up deciding to do here is shielding up this move, because if the opponent no-shields this, I can potentially look to snipe. I can go for Wombo combo with the Leaf Blade. So we're going to look to basically get rid of this Pokemon. And like to basically deal with whatever's in the back. This Pokemon happens to be a Bomb of Snow. We just absolutely destroy this Pokemon on our entire team. I don't even send in the Roserade, I send in the Penguin. Penguin's going to farm this the whole way down. Super effective Steel Wing's going to absolutely rip through it. And that's GG's right there. So once again guys, you know, not having Bullet Seed is a little bit awkward sometimes. The Lantern matches do get very, very close. So if you do want to make a modification to this team to give yourself a better Lantern answer in the back, I think that's completely understandable. The opponent comes into Tropius, we do once again too, and swap and they bring out the Lantern. This is absolutely fantastic. Now, I think what I end up deciding to do here is shield up the very, very obvious Thunderbolt. There's just no way on earth, there's absolutely no way they're going to beat the resisted move here. We're going to go for the Drill Run. We had a little bit of an energy lead, so I'm going to try to deal with this Lantern right here, right now. The opponent lets it through, and I'm very happy with that situation. Getting Lantern out of the way gives Empoleon license to roam free, and they come into a Tentacruel. This is not even a great answer to Dugong. Dugong with the super effective drill runs can do a lot of work here. Also, like I said, the Penguin can put in work against this thing. We're even going to get to another move. We do go for this move. And what I decide to do, this is a little bit risky, but because we got to this, I'm going to shield and try to get the opponent's final shield. If the opponent lets us through, this could be a super effective drill run. They do decide to shield it. And that puts me in a much better position now. We come into Penguin, and we're basically going to look to go for a huge overfarm here. The opponent still has the Tropius. We still have to deal with that. And we're going to see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's going to get off their second move. And I am anticipating the opponent will swap out at some point here. Skull coming in. The opponent comes in. I do one and swap. Now, if I've caught the Leaf Blade, this would be absolutely huge. And what I'm going to look to do is basically look to throw this off on free. Very bad timing there. For some reason, I was just like a little bit off track on energy. So, yeah, I definitely could have just threw a little bit of extra. But we do get a nice chip free here. We were never going to make it to a Leaf Storm anyway. We're going to fire off this Drill Peck. The opponent just threw 2 Scalds. So this should be relatively dry here. Drill Peck, number 1, doesn't KO. Can we take it out? We do farm it the whole way down. Good games all played, guys. I highly recommend trying out this team. This team was an absolute ton of fun. Like I said, it is a little bit tricky with Lantern and Whiscash, but they definitely are manageable. And as you guys can see, Roserade just puts in so much work. And we got a 10-game winning streak with this Pokemon. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe. Thank you very much for the support on the videos, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. If you want to join our community, link to the Discord in the description down below. Thanks everybody, have a great day, and I'll catch you all next time.